Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Odin's movie blog. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well, and today we've got some updates on the openings of movie theaters across the United States, including AMC being very optimistic now at this point that they can get the vast majority of their U.S. locations opened by the time of the release of Christopher Nolan's new film, Tenet. And that, of course, has caused a lot of confidence in the shares of that specific company, so that the point where the stock market share prices for them actually went up quite a bit. So obviously stockholders are looking very happy, or being very happy about that news, about what the executives have been saying. However, as I will always say whenever there's news like this, I'll believe it when I see it, because AMC is in a very precarious situation, having lost, multiple millions, if not billions of dollars since the shutdown, having already been in financial straits in the first place, not looking very good. The fact that they said they don't know and have a lot of doubts about whether or not they'll be able to come back and recover fully from all of this when everything is said and done. At the very least, it's nice to hear something positive for a change, because as I made very clear on the channel, I'm a big fan of AMC theaters. I used to work for them, and overall I just love the fact that they're one of the largest, they are the largest movie distributor, or rather a movie exhibitor in the United States. And so most of the places that I've lived in my life have always had an AMC with a lot of screens, and therefore the opportunity to watch a lot of movies as well. So let's go ahead and dive into this. As you can see here, the article from Deadline says AMC Entertainment stock pops on global opening hopes. AMC Entertainment stock jumped over 15% at open in a down market Wednesday at open after execs outlined global plans at a conference call late yesterday afternoon. Share had popped by over 17% in pre-trade market. It's been a roller coaster, mostly down for AMC shares since the CV pandemic forced it to shutter theaters worldwide in mid-March. The stock was under $2 at one point, but is changing hands at over $6 this morning as investors shrugged off a huge first quarter loss swelled by non-cash write-downs. Executives sounded upbeat about opening globally almost everywhere in July to roll out the summer's big first post-COVID theatrical pick. Tenet, the strapped exhibitor, the world's biggest, continued to project a cash runaway through the Thanksgiving holiday, and also said it's hashed out favorable deals with landlords. So it looks like things are looking slightly up for them, though definitely not as good as it could be. They've worked out deals with the landlords that own the properties of their various theaters across the country, and on this call, they made clear that their plan is to have all of their theaters, or at least the vast majority of them, opened sometime in July so that they can be open by the time Tenet comes out July 17th. Now, that does leave, obviously, a lot of questions about what theaters are going to open when. Obviously, that's still going to depend on the various states and the different restrictions that each state has overall. And of course, it's also going to rely on whether or not those markets were profitable in the first place. Because as I mentioned, AMC overall was in a downward year last year. And so there might be some locations that were on the brink of closing that might not ever reopen now because of this final nail in the coffin. We'll have to, of course, wait and see as the theaters begin to open up. I'm just excited that any theater is going to be opening up within the next week and a half or so, starting off, of course, with Cinemark theaters opening starting around June 24th. And then also Regal Cinemas projected to be opening around July. We still haven't officially heard from them about any actual release dates or any actual opening dates for them, but we assume, because the last time we heard from them, that they were planning to open sometime in July. AMC opens, or plans to open in July as well. So again, I just cannot wait for movies to be back, because I would love to watch something so that I can review it for the channel, do my on-the-road videos, do my instant reaction videos with the vlog camera and everything like that. It's something that I do greatly miss on the channel. Some other good news as far as movie theaters are concerned: the fourth largest movie chain in the United States, Marcus, is opening 6 theaters on June 19th, showing the Harry Potter movies, retro classics, and films like Sonic the Hedgehog, whose runs were interrupted. Now, this is exciting for me, because to me, this shows what the studios are willing to do for various theater chains, not just to show films that came out around the time the pandemic started, like Sonic. I imagine that you might see Bloodshot in there as well, even though Bloodshot is currently available on physical media at this point in time. But I imagine that you'll have a lot of those films, but also the fact they mentioned retro classics and also major heavy hitter films like Harry Potter. Now, obviously, most people at this point who love Harry Potter probably own the films, can just watch it at home. However, there is definitely something to be said about going to watch a film that you love on the big screen in comparison to at home, especially since many of us do not have major at-home theater systems to be able to enjoy it to the overall fullest. Let's go ahead and dive into this for a second. It says it will start 4 days a week with limited hours showing classic movies, Harry Potter films, and titles whose runs were interrupted, including Sonic the Hedgehog, Bad Boys for Life, Jumanji: The Next Level, and The Invisible Man. So it doesn't look like they have mentioned anything specific about what films they will be showing. Of course, they have here all of the various measures that they're going to have in place. Guests will be encouraged to wear face masks in public areas and stay home if sick. So I'm glad that they're not going to be forcing people to wear masks in the open areas, and let alone in the theaters themselves. And so that is going to be hopefully a good thing overall, because as I said, it's really impossible for us to expect to have to wear face masks when we're allowed to buy things like popcorn. And guess what? The theaters need to be able to sell popcorn and drinks, because that's the only way they're going to make any money through this. Could you imagine if theaters were forced to reopen, or rather were told, hey, you can reopen again, but the only money you can get are from tickets? They get very little money from those tickets. But let's go ahead and see what they have here. It says also showing will be retro classic movies. A Harry Potter series will start June 19th. Upon reopening, every movie will cost $5, no upcharges. So that is actually pretty damn cool. When new movies are released, standard pricing will apply. And I imagine that that's probably going to be something that a lot of the other theater chains like Regal, AMC, and Cinemark do, are try to offer older films that have already been released on physical media, films that were interrupted when all of this stuff happened, charging only a little bit of, the bare minimum, I guess you could say the matinee pricing. So that's usually around $5 depending on the market that you're in. Obviously, places like New York would be more expensive. However, I don't think New York theaters are going to be opening as soon as some other theaters across the country, because there's a lot of crazy things going on there with the different people, of course, in power. But it is still very exciting to see that there are going to be movies out. I never saw Bad Boys for Life. I never saw The Invisible Man either. But you know what? To be honest, I would probably spend $5 to see those at this point, because I've not been able to review those for the channel, and $5 really isn't all that much. Now, I'd love for AMC's premiere A-list to come back. That way I can just go see 3 movies a week and not have to worry about it at all, and all be included in the price of that. But of course, that probably won't happen for at least a little while, because that is going to be something that they're going to want to make sure they are is financially viable before they reinstate that, I imagine. And the last thing to talk about is how Russell Crowe's Unhinged will pave the way for the road to reopening. Who would have thought that a film that looks hilarious in like the best way possible, it's a film that is one of those serious takes that might be trying to be a comedy, or is just so serious and so ridiculous that it's just going to be funny regardless, featuring Russell Crowe, that's the film that's going to start the wave of reopenings, because this film is set to open sometime between July 1st and July 5th, depending on when theaters in your location actually open. But this is officially the next and the first brand new release to be set out to theaters when the theaters do start to reopen. So I think it's hilarious that everyone's, of course, talking about Tenet and how it's going to be the first thing, it's going to bring people back. But technically, before Tenet even comes out, this movie, Unhinged, is officially the first brand... I know. Hey, I know. I am very upset by this as well. Unhinged, of all things, to come back as the first brand new movie. It's Unhinged. Couldn't be Top Gun 2, which I cannot wait to see. But yes, Unhinged with Russell Crowe. But anyway, this is a film that, again, is set to reopen on July 1st, come hell or high water. But of course, everything can change if the theaters don't open right on time, or if anything else happens to happen. What are your thoughts about this? Are you excited that AMC Theaters is looking a little bit more positive, that it looks like the theater chain will indeed be opening and plans to open most of its theaters in July? Also, do you live near a Marcus Cinema? Because it looks like your theaters are going to be opening much sooner. Marcus and Cinemark are going to be the first 2 chains to open, with obviously AMC now saying July. I imagine Regal will probably follow suit, saying, hey, we're going to open in July as well. Great job, Regal. And also, what are your thoughts about the fact that Russell Crowe's Unhinged will be the first official film to open up the reopening of various theaters? I just think that there's kind of a funny irony to that as well. But let me know your thoughts about this and everything we talked about in the comment section below. If you like this video, smash that like button, hit that subscribe. It helps out a lot. You're all amazing and beautiful people. Have a wonderful day. And as always, God bless. And now a huge shout out to all of my June Patreon members: Albertus Magnus, Animation Commentator, Brian P., David Bobrizik, Dion, Divex, Enrique Evangelista, Father Christopher Miller, hail to you, Father, Frank the Tank and the Shawhan Wiener Dog Clan, Harold Francis, the Hunky Chunky Funky Monkey, Inflamed Wood, It's a Trap Productions, Jason Clark, Jeffrey Toon, Kenneth Cameo, Lady T, Laura Story, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mike Jackson, Mr. Peabody and his evil twin with the beautiful hair, Orange Hat Reviews, Outpost Dyer, Out of Step with Reality, Riff Magos, Rosetta Allen, Steve Glasker, Teresa Martin, Theodore Benton, Tina Bojan, The DJD Show, and Tina B. And also to my Subscribe Star members Edgardo Martinez, John B., Perpetual Punster, Robert Revo, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, G2 Cool 99, Darkstar 57, J. Alex McCarthy Jr., US 888209 Fast, Dean Heiss, Harold Francis, J. Rod, The Beer Guru, and also Nebanon G. Adams and ZK Man, and Jonathan Carney, and Jacob Juice. Thank you all so much for being a member of Patreon and Subscribestar. And seriously, it really does mean a lot. Helps keeps the light on, helps me able to do things like the giveaways for my $5 and up backers on Patreon and Subscribestar, and also be able to put more stuff into the actual channel itself, including upgrading different components, whether it be webcams, microphones, things like that. All of that helps to support it, and it really does mean a lot. So thank you all so very much. Please, if you want to have your name shouted out or look at any of the other perks, which include things like indeed having access to exclusive 4K digital giveaways every single month, and also an exclusive podcast hosted on Patreon, Subscribestar, and also YouTube memberships as well at the $10 and up level, featuring John the Flickpig Flickinger. Please check all of those things out in the description of this video. You guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Have a wonderful day, and as always, God bless.